Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone with two of my dear friends, Jade Rivera and Trina Cooper. Hi, guys.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So for everyone that's watching this now and later, we are hoping that Grandmother Parisha is going to come on. But in the meantime, I thought that we could talk a little bit about your experiences with Grandmother so that people could understand why it's so powerful to be in her presence. So, Trina, I think you have you have a long experience with her. Would you mind starting to talk about Grandmother Parisha from your perspective?
Oh, sure. I met Grandmother, oh my gosh, probably about 15 years ago. And she is indigenous and also a Celtic background, grew up in the eastern United States, but she is a scientist and she is inquisitive, and especially around brain studies. And she does circles with everyone. Really, I think the main thing that I've always gotten out of it is the fact that she wants us to understand that we're energy and that everything is energy around us, and that we have the power and the birthright and the ability to create and manifest. And it is her passion to reach out and touch as many people as she possibly can in order to let humanity understand that we are the co-creators of what we have here, and that we also have the ability to create the world and the beauty and the love around us. And so with the basis of the indigenous people, which is the heart and soul that's there, and a background working with the monks, Tibetan monks, and she has studied all over the world with all different religions. She has such a wonderful background and understanding of people, and just a joy in her heart to touch people and to share. And I know this particular event is about a harvest celebration, and really what the indigenous people want to bring forward to us, because especially us in the West, we've kind of lost our touch with nature, and we want to understand that we are nature and that we are part of everything that's going on. So we need to learn how to live in this cyclic way that nature does. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And I look forward to her coming to Denver. I look forward to her coming on and sharing everybody some of the views that she has, and especially to have give people the opportunity to come and meet her personally. Very strong, very powerful. But again, she reminds all of us that we are strong and powerful, and we each have our own place in the world. We each have our own fingerprint and what we need to contribute. So absolutely fabulous.
Thank you. I'm getting phone calls. So Jade, could you also speak to it, and then I'll call them back?
Oh, sure. Okay. I met Grandmother when I was about 25. I was living in Oklahoma. I was living in the mountains at an esoteric seminary, and she came to give a talk, but I actually went there to meet her. It kind of altered my life, and she was able to see in me what I was really looking for. Why I was wandering at such a young age, I guess you could say. And from there, we've had a relation for long distance. I don't study with her as some of her people do. But with the grave times that we find ourselves in, I mentioned to Grandmother that some of the farm community would be gathering here, and would she come and speak to us? She said yes, and the conversation was going to be Earth's bounty and harvest, which I'm really looking forward to. But basically, we know from the being and emanation that Grandmother is the indigenous people are resilient. They have never left their roots and their connection to the mother. And they understand in a foundational way, being connected to nature's principles, what is happening on the planet, how we can all stay healthy and strong. And I was really inviting her here to be the glory of who she is, which is a reminder to the love and the purity that we hold. What I enjoyed about grandmother in our contact over the years in some of her studies is we are what we are waiting for. We are the change. We have all of our personal instructions inside of us, and that this is what we have been praying for. Although many of us feel the food shortages, forced food shortages, and we feel areas of our lives of freedom being taken away, grandmother would have a more holistic view of what that is. And that is because we are all intrinsic to the earth and to the cycles and to the mud, the oramus, the elements. We are that. So I know I'm looking forward to her hopping on, and I'm really excited about her coming to Colorado to speak with us.
Yes, me too. So I'll share a little bit. The last time I was with grandmother was in a beautiful home in Evergreen, Colorado. And there was a group of us in circle, probably about 15 people, maybe approximately. And what I find with grandmother's energy is, and this is just who she is, it puts you out of time and space. This energy is, it's almost like it's a reminder of who you are and how you can be in the world. But it is a field of possibilities that you don't get to experience very often. And although it's out of time and space, it's not ungrounded. That's the other thing that's very different. A lot of times when you're out of time and space or you're in a co-creative mood, you don't actually interact with people embodied. And in contrast, grandmother's energy and the way that she works with people and just who she is quite grounded into this reality and how we are co-creating now to create the new earth. So the things that I remember, I mean, there's respect for ceremony, there's respect for others. She pulls out the best, even if you don't want her to pull it out of you. all of us can giggle, etc. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So,
You know, a lot of people don't know the relationship that the elders, the shamans, have with the Buddhist lineage. They've been sort of talking back and forth in the inner world forever. That shamanic path and their shamanic path. And it is written in her bio, but many on this may not know, is that grandmother was recognized as an emanation of Tara. I believe it was green Tara. And I was always drawn to green Tara, and she is the mother, the destroyer of all obstacles. And this is an experience one has when they study with her long time, is things that don't need to stay around don't. We sort of live in a beautiful world, but we have a little bit too much attachment to the personality. And what we're all seeking, or at least I was at a very young age, was the root of the purpose of life. So when you talk about ceremony, these are simply the ways to honor the cycles of life, which they have never left, and keep people grounded and close to the earth and the sky.
perfect. So,
one of the things that grandmother talks about, following up on that cyclic nature, is that everything is a circle. And a circle is a cycle, and everything returns to where it began. And so even as human beings, while we have these birthrights, while we have been gifted with the power and the strength, as long as we claim it, and as long as we, as she says, your thunders should be felt before you enter the room. This is not ego. This is about really stepping in and doing the work. And the cycle piece as being human is we do come in. We are spirit that comes in. And we come in and we hold this body and we have work to do. And unfortunately, sometimes it gets a little bit mucked up by old past experiences and things we create in our life. But when we shed that and turn into the person that we are meant to be, that we came in to be, we do what we need to do, and then we cycle back again. And if we follow nature, if we really follow nature, we see that birth, that coming from the seed and really blossoming out, and then coming back again. And, you know, nature does its thing. It provides, it's beautiful. And then when it's time, it goes back and it dies or fades away, and then it comes back again. So it's pretty amazing. And sitting and listening to her, every time I listen to her, I hear something new, something educational, something that makes me look at the world in a different way. And it's so obvious and it's so simple.
Yeah.
Yet we lose it. We've lost it in making our lives complicated. So,
well, I think she teaches fearlessness. That's a lot of it, is that the way that she walks in the world and encourages others is like that cycle of nature. The flower doesn't worry about whether it should open brightly and be fully apparent, but we do. So she encourages all of us to be the bigger version of ourselves. And a lot of that's the work, isn't it? I mean, that's the work, to release all of the self-talk and the traumas that we got from 0 to 7 years old, and show up as the piece of God that we all are. So I thought I can show the website if Jade, if you want to talk to the website, or Trina,
Sure.
did you have something else you're looking?
Well, one thing that I wanted to share, and it was picking up on what you said about ceremony. And one of the things that was shared a while back was that life is a ceremony, and that there is a beautiful, there's beauty in everything that we do. And so to the simplest, smallest task, there's preparation, and there's getting in touch with yourself and making everything you do a ceremony, making everything beauty, making everything the place that, that you honor the creator, but you also honor the creator in you. But it's taking that time, not rushing through things, but really being present, really being beautiful, and working through this, that, and then leaving things more beautiful than you found them. Don't take for granted the things that you do. If you stay someplace, leave the place looking more beautiful. If you recognize that something needs to be done and it's yours to do, then do it. Don't back off from it. So, but the whole idea of life as a ceremony really touched me really deep in my heart. And I definitely would love it if everybody would, pick up that one little seed, pick up that one little thing about it being life being a ceremony. We've been invited to celebrate. So
that's beautiful.
Cool.
That's beautiful. And on that note, that's why it's called the beauty way. Isn't that what they call it, Trina? The walk, the beauty way. And it is a good point for those of us that have been around grandmother, is that is basically what emanates from her, is the respect of all life. And it has a sort of a gentle awakening. I think I learned that on my own as a young girl, but I didn't have the terminology for it, is life was always okay when I was communing with nature. And I always had this idea that no matter how rough things were, what was the saying? All's well that ends well. Things do go in a circle and a hoop. And elders like grandmother know this only so well. And when we're around that reflection, it's just a really nice mirror for us. Everything is vibration, everything is frequency. We all know this. We're looking at new medicines that are coming to the planet, and grandmother knows a lot about this. She has a whole background in, she's an activist, she's a curious person watcher, but she is mainly put a lot of her time into the sciences because her mind could go there. She uses a lot more of her capacity in the brain than most of us do. And that led her into the sciences so that she could teach people what the Aboriginal people already knew. Because people like proof, don't they? But either way, what we're finding in the group scientists she's worked with and talked to, and what we've all been exposed to, is it's the technologies that work with frequency and the voltage of the body that is doing the greatest amount of healing now. That right next to our own thoughts. So the beauty way to me is kind of a combination of what the resilient indigenous people know is, we wouldn't get up in the morning and ignore our kids and not feed them. We wouldn't rush out of the house to make money and leave our loved ones behind. Somehow in the cycle of becoming human, it has become so much around what I can get or what I need that we sort of sometimes we forget that we're in this beautiful circle and cycle of life. And that's why I loved connecting with the elders, particularly grandmother, is when somebody is emanating who and what they are, and that is in the embodiment of truth. It sort of flows forward from all life. Then you're fed by that. And she always teaches us, just be who you are. Work through the stuff that holds you back and keep going. It's the theory of carry water, chop wood. We're here to work, and we have to understand what we're working towards. It's community, it's collaboration, it's the farms, it's your neighbors, it's your friends. We're not isolated anymore, and the only way we're going to make it forward to the next step is if we stop isolating. Excuse me.
Perfect. So Trina, did you have more that you wanted to add, or should I share the website?
I think that one thing that I would like to share too is that the work begins inside of us. And
Thank you.
we need to take a look at ourselves. We need to take a look at the way we complicate things in life. We need to take a look at the places where we say, that's not possible. We need to take a look at really the depths of our soul, the spirit of us. It's the spirit that's pushing us to do the things that we came to do. It's the spirit inside of us, our higher selves, you can call it that. But really, if we're here for a reason. We're not here to sit on the couch. We're not here to take in all the other dramas and things like that. It's like we've got to go inside ourselves. And this is something that she talks about all the time. In fact, one of the things she says all the time is get over yourself. and really the get over yourself is you're making excuses. You're making up reasons. You've created what's going on in your life. When are you going to walk out of that mess you've created and decide that this is who I am, this is why I'm here, this is what I have to step into, and really feel it? And the only way you can do that is going inside of yourself, going inside taking some time with meditation, taking some time to find where your heart sings, taking some time to get to know you. And one of the books right now, one of the things that we work on with her is called Quantum Leap Book Club. And Quantum Leap Book Club is on Law of Attraction Radio Network. It's also syndicated to a couple things, but we are currently studying this book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And that particular book gives you all the little pieces that you need in order to, it gives you the science to understand what's going on in your mind and your body. It gives you tools and tips to learn how to go inside and really find out who you are and to change yourself and to move through things. So people's lives have changed dramatically simply by going in and really being honest with themselves. Where am I starting right now? And who am I right now? And is that real or is it not? Is my heart crying for something else, yet I'm still going around doing the things that I do on a regular basis? But who was that? Einstein, I think, that said the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting a different outcome. It doesn't work that way. You need to make changes inside you so you can make changes in everything that is around you, because we've gotten too focused on the outside world telling us what to do, where really the inside world needs to tell our inside world needs to tell the world what we want to have happen. And the only way we're going to have peace in the world, and the only way that we're going to find balance and beauty in the world, is to find it inside ourselves, to find it in our souls, and then live it every single day so that we touch the heart of other people and we make change. And that's a huge message that she shares with everyone all the time.
Yeah.
So Trina, I just got a text that she will not be coming. So I thought maybe before we showed the flyer for the event, maybe you could talk a little bit about the manifestation wheel, so people could understand a little bit of, number one, about a circle. And I can see if I can find one real quick on my desktop. But what I thought is maybe we could give people something tangible that they would benefit from being in this energy. Because I think that a lot of conscious people realize that we're projecting this physical experience from our non-physical essence, but we don't see the blocks that we have that are causing us to repeat the stories, the storylines. And so what happens is there are these techniques and tools that are basically sacred. The manifestation wheel is sacred geometry that causes spirals to build of energy, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that, and I'll see if I can find a copy of it real fast?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
So the manifestation wheel is a tool that she taught us. And really the most important piece of it is you have to find your what. It is built on a circle. It's built on the cycle. And so let's imagine you're creating something. The first thing you have to find is the what. And you don't worry about the how as much as the what. And then the next thing you start thinking about on the wheel is the how are you going to measure this? The progress that you have, the progress charts. How are you going to measure it? Then you create a vision of what you want to see. So this is your end result. You want to know exactly what it looks like. And the vision has to be so real. It has to touch the senses, because one of the things that we know is that our minds do not know the difference between our outside world and what we create on the inside. So if we can visualize in all the senses what our what looks like, then we can move beyond that and we start thinking. And right now we're still working in spirit. We're moving around the wheel in a clockwise direction, and we're moving with spirit. And so that you start, and you do this anyway. This is natural, but it's a way of putting things in order. Because one of the things that Indigenous teach is that there's an order to everything. So in this case, in the order, you have the directives, like the main things that you would like to accomplish in order to make this happen. Then there's the tasks, all the small things. Then there's the strategies, and the strategies are the what ifs, or this is the way that I believe we should take it, or what are the things that you kind of reflect a little bit. What are the things that we might come up against, and do I have a way to deal with that? And then the next step of it is a draft. So you kind of review everything. I think of it as like a blueprint. Like you've got the blueprint, and you may want to make some tweaks and changes or whatever to it. But do you have all the things in there that you might need? Then there's policies and procedures that we have to look at, and insights that we get as we're moving along the way. What are our aha moments? And then also on that, we have the obstacles, the challenges, some of the things we might come up against. And then we come up against the things that we need. It's like not against, I shouldn't be using that word. We come to what kind of things do we need? What, we may need a computer, we may need a radio, we may need this, we may need that. Just the different pieces that we're going to have to bring in. And then the objectives, what are we trying to accomplish? When we get a lot of these all written down, and some of the key ones, like the policies and procedures and what we expect, when they're all written down, we go back through the wheel in a reverse format, around the clockwise the other way, because we're working in that circle. There we go. So we go around the other way, and we start looking at each of these, making sure that all the pieces are in place. But this is what we work on to actually create the manifestation. So in the beginning, some of this might take a little while to get you to, I think I missed intent. What's the intent of what we're trying to achieve? But as we move around this, after a while, you get quicker and quicker, and pretty soon you run it through your head. But again, the end result, the what is the important piece. And it's not about how it's going to happen, because when the universe is clear, when our higher selves, when spirit's clear, whatever term you use for that connection to the divine, to the connection to all the possibilities, when that's put out, it starts answering. Like one of the things I learned in a class once was, it's sort of like playing baseball, that if the pitcher doesn't let go of the ball, then the batter can never hit it. So you've got to let go of the ball, and you keep doing it. But you know what? You watch for those little miracles that show up, because that's the way they drop in, and the aha moments and the things that are better. And I love to ask the question, what can be better than this?
Yes.
But again, the what is the key with all of this. If you are not clear on the what, then it's very difficult to actually have this happen. And there's also another piece of this, which is the pillars, which is actually organization and the roles that the people play. And in doing that, each person, you could see in what Kathy pulled up, the hatting. The hatting is the jobs, the roles that are there, and each takes a responsibility. And sometimes it's you doing all of it. But I always think of, in the first pillar, that very first pillar, God and Creator actually oversees all of them. And when you see all the pillars too, they're almost like the zeros and the ones in a computer program. So you've got the circle, and then you've also got the ones. So it's like the little bits and bytes. And that's really how we operate, in those bits and bytes. It's a miracle. And yes, that's a little bit about this.
Thank you. The energy, just for anyone who's interested, there's ways for Trina can teach you more about this manifestation, because it's quite amazing, the energy, because you can actually feel it building. I mean, it's for us sensitives, it's palpable. And so if you're doing any new business or a new project, or Trina does this every day on her to-do list.
Some days it's crazy, but especially on big projects, especially to get, because what it does is it creates an order, and things flow in an order. If you think about a river with rocks and boulders in it, and you're like moving around and crashing into things and stuff, where if it's smooth and clean and clear, it just flows.
Right.
It's a much easier ride when you have a clue about what you're doing. And so this helps you take it. And I think of it because I've got this business background. So I've been doing business planning, and I've done consulting in my past. When you think about sitting down and doing a business plan, it's so much better to have some of this, to take it out of your head, to put it on paper, to get it down where you can work on it, and you're not constantly trying to remember. So this puts it in an order, and you can kind of go, yeah, I did that. Yeah, I did that. Oh, this is the coolest thing that dropped in.
Yeah, there's clarity, but there's power. That's the other part of it that's quite remarkable. So,
well, I actually did the manifestation wheel with Grandmother's People, and Trina was teaching on that. A lot of her students step in and do this with her. And I think I did it in 2013 or 2014. And I didn't do the 5 pillars after, but I did the manifestation wheel. And my whole life changed that year. It was quite something. And I remember Grandmother's, and I can illumine that a little bit, but I can remember Grandmother said she does this with everything. And she does it lightning fast, and she runs everything through her wheel before it comes into her day. And she said that way, if something is coming in and it wasn't predetermined, I can decide, because the universe is always giving us opportunities. And the only difference between those that may learn to work their mind this way, which does take some practice. I mean, you should have seen my apartment when I did this course. I would draw big circles on large pieces of paper, and I would start with one project, with the what, and I would work myself around the wheel. And as you would interact with that, which you were creating, more things would arise, which you could add to your circle again. But so sometimes I'd have to start a second wheel, because what came off the first wheel needed a little bit more attention. But the other thing I never really got to, Trina, which is kind of funny, is I never got to the back. You know how you work it back around? But even doing it as far as I did it, which opened up a lot of creativity in me, and the knowledge, what Grandmother was trying to help us understand, was life does work in a cycle, and you have control of that. You just have to understand how to think a little bit differently, because we sort of see the world as happening to us, right? Oh, damn, that thing happened. We don't know what thought created that thing to happen. No judgment, just saying we're not used to thinking in these kind of cycles. And anyway, by the end of that year, I had put together a group of women that worked in holistic health in the school. So we had a principal, and she used to work with children with ADD, ADHD. She had a son, actually. And so she worked and oversaw schools that dealt with children with those issues. I was a hypnotherapist that worked with hypnagogic pain relief. Oh. Then we had an acupuncturist who worked with addictions and worked with children. We had a woman who's a naturopath that ran an entire facility. And I think it was just us in the beginning, and a few more hopped on. And we used to go to schools and give public talks. And I ended up in front of hundreds of people who were connected to the school board, who were looking for solutions to help their children learn, because the children are bringing in all kinds of interesting things now. Yeah. So we never know what the root cause of all these things will perpetuate, but the concept of it and the learning how to manifest your own life Well, it would be great if Trina would teach that. I've bugged her about that.
So she has. We used to do a class every month.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
okay, so now why don't we show the website if that's okay with you guys?
Sure.
Yeah, the event page.
Mm-hmm. There we go. There we go. So Jade, will you speak to this, please?
Sure. So when we invited grandmother here, we realized we'd have to have a way to fund her coming in her RV with her family. And she's bringing some of her wonderful friends and students. And so I created an event page so people could understand who she was. If you click on the About screen, it'll give you some of grandmother's background, because what they gave to me to share was enormous. Because when you are working with this kind of connection to the mind power, we don't want, when you're able to work the universe the way grandmother does, you aren't really wasting any moments of the day. And so she has this background, which you can look into, which is beautiful. She is the founder and member of Yunsai, which is White Buffalo Society. And she has many, many businesses, many, many avenues, and her goal. And this is simply because she knows why she's here. So I think most of us could ask that question. I think I'm here because I'm what? A parent, a student, a wife. We give ourselves these roles in life. But grandmother always says the only way to use time is to perfect the self. She might not say it that way, but to work on the self, pull that slave self out of the self and start doing what you came here to do, emanate beauty. So part of that is the history. I hope people will enjoy that. And then we have the page for Get There, which is simply where we'll be holding it. So I'm hosting her at Nyland Farm and co-housing. Very, very lucky to live on 40 acres, which at least 20 acres of it is set aside for the farm. And we'll have room for over 100 people. This is really an opportunity. It's hard to get grandmother. She has a schedule that flows out for months in advance, and she kind of let us fit her in there, so we didn't have a lot of time to promote her. But you won't be sorry that you had this day, and what you will experience is a tremendous amount of upliftment, knowledge, clarity, and what I experience is embodied love. And so I created this platform page. We do have a ticket page. We're asking for this simply so that we can fund back to those that are participating in the day and get grandmother here, fed, and back home. She's taking an RV. There's a lot of gas involved. But I would like people that feel extremely drawn to contact me if they feel they're struggling, and we'll work something out. Other than that, this is our ticket page. We're going to post it everywhere. I'm sure Kathy will drop it into the conversation that we're having today, and this will be recorded, so please share it. And that is grandmother there. She is both Celtic and Cherokee elder. And Trina, she has connections to the Hopi, but I don't know what those are.
She has connections to a lot of people, but she was and still is very connected to the Hopi people. She's spent time living there, but elders in all groups. And to her, the indigenous people are the ones who hold a lot of purity and the connection to the earth. And so, recently she even said it's about all the indigenous people because they have so much to teach us. And one thing to remember is that we're all from the fire. We all have indigenous roots, even if we haven't understood them or the connection, but it's not so much about the cellular lineage. I mean, that is something we need to connect with, but it's about the fact that we hold this information in us for eons, for generations. And so much is within us that we need to take a look at. And it's so important. And I know that, part of this event is about the survival and the earth's, where the earth is at right now.
Yes.
And we need to begin to think of the earth and all the other planets for that matter as living beings.
Yes.
Thank you. It's not just a rock that has even rocks are alive. Everything, no matter how dense, everything is this energetic pattern of atoms. And the question we always ask, because I know we go back to science and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, well now the new quantum picture of an atom is this space. There's just so much space and an intelligence and an energy about it. And it's just the way these have all come together with whatever the patterning is that is, that makes it so. But we're all connected in this fact that we are energy and that we are all pieces of this, and that the Earth Mother is a being.
Yes. Yes.
And that is honoring. And so if she shakes, or if she has torrential rains or whatever goes on here, it is a reaction to some of what we're doing and an interaction with us and what's going on. Right. So it isn't just, oh, the earth is this big sphere in the universe someplace, or maybe a little dot in the universe, but all of this is intelligent life.
Really good point, Trina. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I always think people know that because we've hung out with grandmother a long time.
Not so much.
Here's the thing, the kids know it, the children know it. They know it intrinsically. I knew it as a child intrinsically. All my best friends were in nature. I was kind of a weird kid. And it's a beautiful point. The people that we are inviting, and all are welcome, are those that, have a love relationship with the land. And they want to understand their own roots to that land. And it's true. We have our own personal instructions. I was doing a tremendous amount of seeking as a young woman. And now I don't feel I seek anymore, but it helped a lot to know grandmother, which was, it's here with you. You already know me. You've known me before. Doesn't matter that I recognize you and you didn't recognize me. You are called to be here. And that is because what I contain, you contain. And so we're all waking up to that. We're doing an amazing job. And as the emotions float around, because there's a lot of people in duress, you don't want to forget this. We're all doing the best that we can, but there is a lot of duress with family and with money and with jobs and the farmers. I have friends, many, who have farms, and 2 of them are telling me the feed prices have doubled. Another woman has a 100-acre farm. She's being sued consistently for 3 years. We don't know why. You see, if somebody has a lot of money, they can just pull you into court repetitively. And and finally he said to her at the end, give me your land and I'll stop suing you. So yeah, Kathy, it's just, so we're living in a really beautiful part of the Western Slope. We have control over food like many, many areas do not. And I'll tell you, if anybody's sick, part of that could, for whatever reason, spend more time in nature. Because I actually taught myself that I could heal myself just from being in nature. But, life pulls you back in and you've got a schedule and you've got to work and you've got to be a human being. But we are also nature. So it's all about changing this up here and dropping the intelligence from this part of the body to this part of the body. It's only 11 inches, you guys. But I studied with the Huichol and they said it is the longest 11 inches of your life. They said it's returning your beingness to the understandings of 4,000 years ago. So that's part of the awakening, and the mother is responding to us. And if we can take fear away and come back to we are nurtured. Right now, there's true facts that the earth is producing more than she has produced in a long time because she knows what's happening to us. There is always a knee-jerk reaction from the elements around us when there is a crisis. And so anyway, I'm thrilled, Trina. I feel blessed because you've studied with grandmother so long and that she's helped you be the beautiful person you are, but you are always a beautiful person. I stay a little bit away from grandmother because she's beautiful and strong and loving and fierce. And sometimes, I hope that at the end of this, grandmother, you will share more of grandmother's links or more of her teachings where people can get access to her because she's a moving machine. She never stops and she's always teaching.
Yeah.
The websites are down, or else I would have been sharing. They're not. They say under construction.
Got it.
One thing that I want to, before we end up wrapping up and things too, is that there's other people that will be there on the 30th.
Yes.
And so, Jay, do you want to share a little bit of some of the other pieces?
Thank you. Right. You guys do this professionally for me. And I have the flu today, which is also part of what we're all trying to learn to deal with. And nature's principles have a lot to do with that. So we're coming to Nyland, co-housing. We will have signs everywhere to share with you where to park in the side field. We will have Brigitte Mars doing herbal walks throughout the day. We're going to have Condor doing a sound, he calls it shamanic sounds, but he has many, many instruments, and it's extremely unusual how he chants and talks through this. He does a sound bath, basically. He's going to be doing that. And then grandmother's coming with her people who have vast knowledge. They have been for years close to the earth. They have been traveling themselves with her, doing events all over the world. They are well aware and well trained on what's happening on the planet now. We get a lot of information through the internet, but we want to look at the information that the indigenous people carry that doesn't have a lot of fanfare and is coming from a more holistic view. So what's happening in the other planets, what's happening in our planet, what's happening inside of us. So we're going to have that, and we'll have a little bit of music, but the main stage is going to be our elder and her people and whatever it is they wish to involve us in terms of Earth's harvest. Really speaking to the people of the land and some of the farmers and those of us who grow food and eat. I mean, it applies to everyone.
That sounds great. And there is a potluck. So it's really a community gathering with benefits.
Please bring a dish. Bring what is your favorite food to eat and bring a dish to share.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's also going to be a fire. So for those who love that, a fireside chat with grandmother, she always enjoys that. So we're going to make sure there is a fire there as soon as the sky starts to dim.
Well, the hours are 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. Right. So we've got the whole day. Some people will come in and out or whatever, but I think what you want to do, you want to be in the energy in the field.
Yes.
And this is a way to be informed, but also be hopeful, because what we're going to learn is things that actually make a difference in the way we go forward for the future.
And make sure you bring a chair or maybe an umbrella. This is outside, so make sure you bring a chair or a blanket. Make sure you bring something comfortable. If you like the shade, there is some shade, but bring your hats. This is Colorado. It can get quite warm or it could rain. And we never know.
And if it does rain, if it does rain, we can move it inside. I've booked both places, but the pavilion is beautiful, you guys.
Absolutely.
Trina's seen it. It is an overhead, and at night we can plug the lights in. We have electricity, we have water, we have everything we need there. And I will be providing refreshments and maybe some light fruit. But just make sure you're feeding yourself and that you come with something.
Yes. Well, thank you, ladies. I think you did a wonderful job of explaining the benefits of this opportunity to be with grandmother at the end of the month, July 30th, from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. And what we're talking about is being out of space and time in a world of possibilities that will help guide you to your best life now. So thank you, ladies, so much. Wonderful.
Thank you, Kathy, for inviting us on.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. This has been really beautiful, and thanks for stepping on board and making this all possible.
Yeah, sure. That's what I do.
Blessings, you guys. Love you guys.
Bye.
Love to